World News Two Halves, EU officials busy to Ukraine, Bulgaria dissolves parliament. Australia soon announced progress on AUKUS, Sudan. Israel made a new step, consecutive shootings in South Africa, were some notable international news in the last 24 hours. The World and Vietnam newspaper highlights some outstanding international news of the day. Russia-Ukraine. High-ranking EU officials busy to Ukraine. On February 2, dozens of senior officials of the European Union, EU, arrived in Kiev to pledge military, financial, and political support to Ukraine. This Eastern European country. Soon after, members of the European Commission, EC, met with many Ukrainian government officials. On February 3, EC President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Charles Michel will meet with President Volodymyr Zelensky. EU and Ukrainian officials are expected to discuss sending more weapons and finance to Ukraine, increasing the country's share of the country's products in the EU market, helping Kiev meet its energy needs, and expanding sanctions. Fines Russia and a number of other issues. This is the fourth time this official has visited Kiev since the conflict broke out in Ukraine nearly a year ago, Ms. von der Leyen said. Meanwhile, EU High Commissioner for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Josep Borrell is expected to announce plans to double the number of Ukrainian troops trained by the EU to 30,000 this year, and pledge to support €25 million for demining in some areas of Ukraine. VNA. Ukraine's situation. The news of aid is pouring in. President Zelensky has not stopped urging, declaring confidence. Russia-China. Russia-China relations have no limits. In an interview with state television on February 2, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov stated that the relationship between Russia and China has no limits. According to him, in this connection, both sides benefit and Moscow is not dependent on Beijing. He also pointed out that China is now gradually reducing its dependence on Western financial institutions. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also stated that Russia would be stronger and able to defend itself. He said the country is ready to act for peace in Ukraine, but if you want peace, you must also be ready to defend. Reuters/Sputnik. There will be a major global crisis if the US defaults on its debt. China doesn't want this. Southeast Asia. The Philippines allows the US to access more military bases. On February 2, the Philippine Department of Defense said that the country allowed the US to expand access to military bases under a bilateral defense agreement. Thus, under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, that took effect in 2014, Washington will be allowed access to 4 more bases. According to the Philippines, the U.S. has spent more than $82 million on infrastructure investment projects at the current 5 facilities. The move was made during the visit of U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to the Philippines and the two countries' efforts to improve relations over the past time. Reuters/SCMP. U.S. special agents did not find classified documents at President Biden's house. South Pacific. Australia may announce the AUKUS nuclear submarine plan in the US, according to ABC Australia on February 2. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is expected to visit Washington next month and present details of the country's nuclear submarine option. With the president of the host country Joe Biden and his British counterpart Rishi Sunak. Currently, Australian officials are said to be actively preparing for Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's visit to attend the announcement of the Australia-UK Security Agreement, AUKUS. In an interview with ABC Australia, the country's Defence Minister Richard Marles called AUKUS a true tripartite solution. What you will see is when we announce the optimal roadmap that we are working on with both the US and the UK, he said. It's really a tripartite effort to see both the UK and the US provide Australia with a nuclear-powered submarine capability. The details of the event are yet to be confirmed, but there is speculation that it will take place in the US to match Joe Biden's schedule. Meanwhile, ABC Australia said it is likely that Mr. Albanese's trip will take place between March 10 and 19. Accordingly, the leader will visit India, where he will be invited to join Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the 4th cricket competition on March 9. The Australian Prime Minister is expected to host Mr. Biden and the Prime Ministers of India and Japan at the next Quartet Leaders meeting in Sydney in June 2023. After the AUKUS controversy, Australia announced to cancel the contract to buy a fleet of French helicopters. Northeast Asia. Japan considers supporting nearly $2 billion for the Philippines. A source from the Japanese government on February 2 said that Tokyo is considering providing an annual aid of more than 200 billion yen, $1.6 billion, for the next 5 years to help the Philippines develop its infrastructure. At the same time, within the framework of the upcoming visit to Japan by Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Prime Minister Kishida Fumio will also agree with the Southeast Asian guest on strengthening security cooperation in the Asia region. Pacific. The two sides will continue to hold the second security dialogue with the participation of the foreign ministers and defense ministers of the two countries, and affirmed their commitment to continue participating in joint exercises in the future. Kyoto. China opposes the visit of the Czech National Assembly Speaker to Taiwan. China speaking at a regular press conference on February 2, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Mao Nin stated, China firmly opposes it. Countries with which China has diplomatic relations conduct official exchanges and contacts with Taiwan. We urge the parties concerned to cancel that erroneous decision. According to Bloomberg, USA, on February 1, after a phone call between Czech President-elect Petr Pavel and Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen, Czech National Assembly Chairwoman Markéta Pekarová-Adamová said she might visit the island this month. Dad comes. Reuters/Taiwan News. Europe. Bulgarian President dissolves parliament, appoints provisional government. On February 2, Bulgarian President Rumen Radev signed a decree dissolving the country's parliament, effective from February 3. He also signed another decree appointing an interim government and setting parliamentary elections ahead of schedule on April 2. President Radev's move is considered the next phase of the political crisis that has been going on for nearly 2 years. The unrest began in the summer of 2021 with mass protests against Prime Minister Boyko Borisov's center-right government and demands for his resignation. However, Borisov remained in power until elections in April 2022. The upcoming election set by the new President Radev will be the 5th election since the unrest. It has been suggested that the current change in Bulgaria could lead to a merger between the center-right and the left. However, experts say it is difficult to know if the change will lead to a new, more stable government. VNA. Sweden tightens terrorism laws. On February 2, Sweden announced it would tighten laws related to membership of terrorist organizations, months after reaching an agreement with Turkey on fighting terrorism. Announced to persuade Ankara to support this Nordic country to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. According to Stockholm, the new law, which is expected to come into effect in June, will give the government more powers to arrest and prosecute individuals who support terrorist organizations, through financial means or other methods. We're talking about extremely far-reaching criminalization, Attorney General Gunnar Strömmer told reporters. He also noted that so far, it has been difficult to prosecute individuals, unless their actions are related to specific acts of terrorism. However, the new law will cover all forms of participation. The threat level has increased recently, he said, with Sweden being considered a legitimate target following the burning of the Koran by Danish far-right politician Rasmus Paludan in Stockholm last month, among other issues. Reuters. Middle East Africa. Sudan is ready to sign normalization of relations with Israel. On February 2, the Israeli press quoted an official from this country as saying that after more than 2 years of agreement, Sudan is now ready to sign the Abrahamic Agreement on Peace. Accordingly, Foreign Minister Antony Blinken during a recent visit to the region revealed to Israel that Sudan is ready to join the Abrahamic Agreement. In January 2021, Sudan agreed to normalize relations with Israel, but has not officially signed it due to internal problems. However, in recent weeks, at the urging of the United States, Israeli and Sudanese officials have been actively negotiating this. VNA. Tehran rejects the IAEA's position. The Mizan news agency, Iran, on February 2 quoted the director of Iran's Atomic Energy Agency, AEOI, Mohammad Eslami, as saying that the latest position of the National Atomic Energy Agency, the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, on Tehran's nuclear activities is incorrect. The IAEA inspector's explanation was incorrect, but he reported it to the IAEA. We immediately provided them with an explanation on the same day, he stressed. A day earlier, the IAEA criticized Iran for not publicly making adjustments to the link between two advanced clusters of machines that enrich uranium to a purity of 60%, 16 times the allowable threshold and very close to the nuclear weapons level. Employees at the Fordow factory. Although it did not specify how the connection between the two clusters of IR-6 centrifuges has changed, the IAEA still asserts that they are linked in a way that is significantly different from the mode of operation that the Iranian side claims. With the IAEA. Reuters. Consecutive mass shootings in South Africa. On February 2, a spokesman for the Eastern Cape Provincial Police Department, South Africa, said that at least 10 victims were killed in 2 mass shootings in the province. This evening, the shooting in the Bitai area left 3 people dead, while 7 others died after a similar attack in a village in Kunu, about 15 kilometers away. Currently, the authorities are actively searching for the culprit, as well as investigating the cause of the incident. South Africa has witnessed a series of shootings in recent days. On February 1, another shooting in the town of KwaMashu, north of Durban City, KwaZulu-Natal province, left 4 people dead and 5 injured. On January 29, another shooting at a house party in KwaZulu, near the port city of Port Elizabeth, Eastern Cape province, left 8 people dead and 3 injured. VNA.